Hello everyone, welcome back to our organizational behavior class. In today's class, we will talk about perceptions and individual decision making. We will begin our class with an interesting parable. The story is called The Blind Man and the Elephant. A group of blind men heard that a strange animal, called an elephant, had been brought to the town, but none of them were aware of its shape and form. Out of curiosity, they said, "We must inspect and know it by touch, of which we are capable." So they sought it out, and when they found it, they grouped out it. The first person whose hand landed on the trunk said, "This being is like a thick snake." For another one whose hand reaches its ear, it seemed like a kind of a fan. As for another person whose hand was upon its leg, said, "The elephant is a pillar like a tree trunk." The blind man who placed his hand upon its side said, "The elephant is a wall." Another who felt its tail described it as a rope. The last felt its tusk, stating the elephant is that which is hard, smooth, and like a spear. The parable illustrates how humans tend to take their partial experiences as a whole truth and their individual perceptions as the one and only version of reality. So, what is perception? Firstly, let's take a look at the definition of perception. Perception is a process by which individuals organize and interpret their sensory impressions in order to give meaning to their environment. Here, giving meaning to their environment is very important to understand what perception is, as it means there is some reality out of there, but it's possible that people do not see or consider it being a reality. Because people usually try to give meaning to reality, and only these meanings are what they consider the sort of a personal reality. Therefore, perception can be different from objective reality. So, why is it important in the study of organizational behavior? The reason is people's behavior is based on their perception of what reality is, not on reality itself. People's perception becomes the reality from which they act. Now, let's look at the following picture. What do you see from the picture? Well, some of you might see a pretty young lady, while some probably see an old lady. Why do you look at the same thing yet perceive it differently? Let's get back to our definition of a perception very quickly. People tend to give meaning to their sensory impression that they achieve through what they see, what they hear, and what they smell. And these meanings, or let's say perceptions, can be somehow shaped or distorted by some factors. We can classify these factors into three categories. Thus, one is going to be a perceiver, the second one is going to be the target, and the third one is going to be the situation. The following figure illustrates how these factors influence the perceptions. Perception can be heavily influenced by the perceiver's characteristics, such as attitudes, personality, motives, interests, past experiences, and expectations. In some ways, we hear what we want to hear, and we see what we want to see. The reason is not that it's the truth, but because it conforms to our thinking. For example, if the supervisor believes that young people are lazy and the elder is conscientious, then he or she is more likely to give the elder employees better performance evaluation despite the same quality of tasks completed by the elder and the young. Perceptions are also influenced by the characteristics of the target, such as motion, size, sounds. Because we don't look at targets in isolation, the relationship of a target to its background influences perception. as does our tendency to group close things and similar things together. Persons, objects, or events that are similar to each other also tend to be grouped. In other words, the greater the similarity, the greater the probability that we will tend to perceive them as a common group. Imagine that we have two groups of people. Group 1 is composed of 9 men and 1 woman. Group 2 is composed of 5 men and 5 women. Because only 1 woman is standing among the other 9 men, the woman is outstanding in Group 1. So, you have to always think about the relationship between the target and its background. Okay, let's move to the third category. It's the situation. Elements in the surrounding environment, such as time, light, heat, location, can influence our perceptions. Let's think about two situations. One is your friend's wedding party at a nightclub on Saturday night. The other situation is your seminar in the classroom on Monday morning. You can see the difference between the two situations. Imagine that there was a girl with heavy makeup and high heels at a nightclub on Saturday night. You might not notice her because she dressed ordinary in that situation. Yet, that same girl so dressed for your seminar in the classroom on Monday morning would certainly attract your attention. In this case, neither the perceiver nor the target has changed, but the situation is different. Until now, we talked about what is perception. Perception is the process by which individuals organize and interpret their sensory impressions in order to give meaning to their environment. There are some factors that can shape or distort our understanding of reality. These factors reside either in the perceiver, the target, or the situation. The understanding of a perception will help us make a better decision in daily lives. In the next section, we will further talk about how people make perceptions of others. Thank you very much for your watching. Bye for now.